right, who's ready for spiders? Today we get to talk spiders. All right, I think we got enough spiders ready for today.
Jen Jensen says hi.
From where?
From Santa Rosa, California.
Santa Rosa, California. So far, our farthest away. We'll see if that holds. Good morning, Jen. Thanks for tuning in live. Who else we got and where are they from? While we're waiting here before we actually start, of course, first off, thanks to everybody who's helped out a little bit during all of this this time of need. But more importantly, remember today is our contest. See who joins in from the farthest away from me.
Ben says hi from Red Rock.
Ben from Red Rock. All right. Well, we'll have to have other contests similar, like farthest in Arizona or closest is not my relative or something like that. I'm afraid to go a contest where you get something cool for being the closest, and then I'll have people like knocking at the door while we're trying to film. It'd be a mess. But in any case, welcome to everybody here. So, Pottstown, Pennsylvania. They disappeared there. I was trying to see where's that one from. All right, Red Rock. Everybody share your videos for me. I didn't. They're disappearing as fast as we can see them here. What time we got? We getting close?
It's 11.
Oh, Verizon says it's 11 a.m.
Gina says hello from Colorado.
Oh, we're at in Colorado. It might come down to miles. Gina, you said?
Yeah.
All right.
Mitzi says hi from Chandler. And Rachel says hi from Klamath Falls, Oregon.
You know what we're going to end up doing? We have a contest that I don't tell anybody about. And then we'll just go through and we'll like look at this week who commented the most. See, but we won't tell anybody we're going to do that, but we'll do that. See, people who joined in early kind of know inside. It's like we're politicians on the stock market. They have inside information. Yeah, I mean, well, no politics here. Sorry. All right, let's talk animals. We're going to do some spiders today, so let's get started. First off, spiders. A lot of people are probably not tuning in today because it's spiders. There's a lot of people that are tuning in because it's spiders. We hope they outweigh each other. But in any case, spiders are very good. Everybody has run into a spider at one time or another. Well, maybe not physically run into a spider. I get that. But let's be honest, we've all run into a spider web, right? Yeah, that's why most of us don't like spiders, because they build that invisible trap of doom that we don't see. And I don't care how tall you are, where does it always hit you? Go ahead, put it in there in the comments. Who knows? Yeah, I know. Y'all know. It hits you in the face, right? I don't care if you're a little kid or a basketball player. You're walking along. It's always the same. Bam! What is that? You do the goofy little dance. You're embarrassed. I get that. Spider webs are very good, though. Not because they're catching people, but because they're catching bugs. And that's why we like spiders. Spiders is a very broad topic, all right? There's over 35,000 species of spiders on this planet. And... oh, just here in the U.S., by the way, we have about 3,000 species. So that's still very broad. Of course, I live in Arizona, so if you're following from Arizona, that gets a lot smaller. We have a few hundred species here in Arizona. But the bottom line is spiders are out there helping us in eating bugs. And, of course, we're going to talk about all of that today. And I want to start with a spider that everybody has probably heard of. It's found all over the Western Hemisphere, and similar spiders live on other continents as well. But this spider that I want to talk about today, let's see which one will work best, is the black widow spider. So in here, I have a black widow spider. Now you know how to pronounce it. But it's up in this container. It's filled with spider web because black widows have a very sticky, very strong web. But there is a view of the black widow. but you're looking at the back of the spider. Some would call it the top of the spider, but unfortunately it's kind of the bottom, because spiders are kind of flip-flopped upside down. They live in a web. The easiest way to climb around on a web is to hang upside down instead of trying to balance on top. So that's why he was in here this way. Now, I'm going to try and safely, as everyone should do, get this spider to crawl back down into its container. You'll notice it's not really attacking me, but now, once it starts climbing around, we might get a chance to see, I don't know if we can see it through there with reflection, the little red mark on the bottom. Here, let's just go straight from the top here. Let's add a little bit of light to it, see if that helps us at all. And look for the red spot right there. See that? There you go. You got that red spot right there. That red spot, it looks like an hourglass. Google hourglass. I know we're in the digital age. You're like, what is this hourglass stuff? You know, some of you know it's the sands in there like the days of our lives. But this here is how you can tell it's a black widow. Most people know they have that bright red marking. But that's only something you can see if you see the bottom of the spider. And normally, during the day especially, it's living in a little hole. So it builds this big web out in the open so that bugs flying through get stuck in it. But whenever I don't know if that's helping any. We're trying here. But when it's during the day, it likes to hide back in a hole. Now, if something gets stuck in there during the day, it'll come out and grab it and eat it, but it's afraid that something might eat it. So it likes to stay hidden at night. That's when they like to sit out on the web and can more quickly grab their food when it hits the web. But the black widow, as you probably know, is dangerous. Like all spiders, they have a venom. And in black widows, that venom is harmful to humans. So you don't want to get bit by one. But the good news is, you know the spider's in the area before you get close enough to get bit because of that webbing. Now, I don't know if the lighting here will pick this webbing up at all, but it's very, very strong. Like it's moving the whole container. I'm not grabbing, I'm just touching it, and it holds on so well. I'm literally picking up the container just by the spider's webbing. That webbing, let go. That webbing is very sticky, very strong in catching bigger bugs. So it has a stronger venom because it's catching bigger things than like a house spider or, something like that. You see, this guy's going to be catching big things. Moths, bees, wasps. I saw a coral snake stuck in a black widow once. I saw a bat that was stuck in a black widow webbing once. Now, they don't build that, I don't think, going, hey, guys, I saw this giant thing flying through. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to catch it and eat it. But that webbing is so sticky, bigger things get stuck. They have a stronger venom to kill those bigger things faster. And, of course, they use that strong venom to digest their food. But we're talking about it eating, so let's look at one that's actually doing just that. Here's another black widow that I went ahead and fed this morning for you. Kind of hard to see, I think. Maybe like that. Does that help you at all? No. Not at all. There we go. This black widow, let's open the top and see if we can get a good look in there. You're looking at it sideways. See, its mouth is actually on that cricket. It's stuck in that web. It ran over, used its back legs to grab some webbing and web around it and hold it in place, and now it's sucking the juices out of it. That's right, it's dehydrating it. So let me open the lid here, and let's see a couple of things about a spider eating. First off, there she is eating. But if you look right over here in the top of the container here, here's some dead crickets. They're dehydrated crickets. It's just the cricket's outer skin. These things are super light because they're hollow. That's because it already ate them. So we'll move that out there. We can see that a little. Oop, this one we don't want to scare her away by dropping a dead cricket in there next to her. There we go. So there's some dehydrated crickets right there. That's food from last week and the week before. But the cricket getting eaten right now, it's dead at this point because it's been in there for about, 15 minutes or so. The spider, if you look closely, maybe you can see its mouth biting on it. It's sucking the juices out and dehydrating that cricket.
Nicole's asking if this is the most venomous spider in the world.
No. There's a number of spiders on the planet, a lot more dangerous than the black widow. In fact, yes, the black widow is the worst here. Oh, there, now it's moving. There. Oh, we got to see that red bottom a little bit. Oh, she's showing off for us now. you can see that red hourglass. She's coming up here to put a little bit more webbing. It's kind of hard to see, but she's touching her abdomen to some webbing she has, and that's because she wants to block that off so I can't stick that dead one down in there again.
Sherry wants to know, how do you know if it's a boy or a girl?
All right, well, the name Black Widow came from the fact that the females will kill and eat the males. It's something that happens. It doesn't happen every single time, but it is a general rule that the Black Widow spider female will eat the male. And generally, that's what you're going to find. A male Black Widow looks completely different. Black Widows are one of these things that look different. The male is going to be a lot smaller, and he's going to be an orange or a coppery color with like some stripes to him. I don't have a male Black Widow to show you because, well, they don't live very long, especially once they're in with females. So they're very hard to find. By the way, the male Black Widow doesn't have a venom that's harmful to humans, but young female Black Widows look very similar to the males and do have a venom. So if you find either one, you'll want to leave them alone. Yes, another question.
Jen is asking, how often do they need to eat?
Well, that's a very good question. And with spiders, it's not a regular thing. It's not like feeding your dog and it has to eat once a day or twice a day kind of thing. It depends on how much they eat. So when this spider gets done eating this cricket, its abdomen will swell to over twice the size of what it is right now. And that could last it a week or so. Generally, mine get fed twice a week. It gets a cricket twice a week, and that's enough to keep it good and healthy. But in the wild, it might eat something a little bigger. Another question, though.
Anthony wants to know if you can die from a Black Widow bite.
People have died from Black Widow bites, yes. It's not something that generally is going to happen. Most people end up living through it. It makes you very sick. But yes, death has occurred from that. Of course, the other spider you probably heard of is the brown recluse, right? That's our other one that has killed people here in the Western Hemisphere. Excuse me. And here in Arizona, well, we won't get into technicalities. Technically in Arizona, we don't have the brown recluse, but we have 6 species of recluse. It's a mess. But the recluse spiders are hidden. They're reclusive. They don't like people. They like to stay hidden. They're in places most of us will never be. And their venom is a lot different. See, the Black Widow has a type of neurotoxin. So it goes to your body, attacks your whole body and your nervous system. With a recluse spider, when it bites, it spreads from there, eating away the muscle and the tissue. It's a myotoxic type of venom that makes it really nasty, and there's infection and things. And it's actually, I think, worse, especially because people do die from it. But we have another question. What do we have?
Evan wants to know if they eat other spiders.
Yes, they will eat other spiders. Not just the females eating the males, but if another spider was to get into their web. But a lot of times they'll actually come out and grab things that are barely at the edge and be able to kind of shoot the webs, if you will, to them. I saw a scorpion one time have that happen to it. I saw a wolf spider stuck in a Black Widow web one time, and he was bigger than the Black Widow, but something happened. He stumbled into it somehow. All right, well, with the Black Widow, that gives you a general idea of how it is that these spiders work. Most spiders are like that. They build this web, and they wait for a bug or something to fly into there, and of course, then they eat that food. And with thousands of spider species and tens of thousands of actual spiders, you're going to have a lot of bugs being eaten. Now, some are eating little things like mosquitoes and whiteflies and gnats. We get that. Some are eating the big things like the Black Widows. But let's be honest. Most of us, if we're talking spiders, we're not really wanting to see the little Black Widow. We don't want to see the little jumping spider, right? What do we want to see? We want to see big spiders. And of course, I have a few of those today as well. Let me start with, being that I live here in Arizona, I'm going to go ahead and start with one that we have right here. This is our native tarantula that's found in this area, and it's getting ahead of me. I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I'm sure these other tarantulas will probably end up doing the same thing. But this tarantula, do we need this lighting? I don't know how it looks on your guys' end. Good, because I'm tired of holding that. So we'll use that a little later. But this tarantula is a medium size for our native desert tarantula. There's a number of different subspecies and different looks to these around the country. But a lot of times they're called an Arizona blonde here, or a Mexican blonde, or a bunch of other different names depending on where it is that you live. You might see a tarantula that looks kind of like this. or you may see the male. This is a female, and I think it's a kind of a cool looking spider, but it's great at showing you a few general tarantula things. This particular one lives in the desert. It also can live in forested areas, but it doesn't build a web like most spiders. Oh no, this thing lives in a hole in the ground. It digs a hole, usually about 18 inches deep or so, sometimes up to 2 or 3 feet deep, and it lives down in that hole. Now, it does produce webbing. All spiders do. That's part of being a spider. But it doesn't build a web like the black widow. It lines its hole with webbing, and then it puts a little bit of webbing out front, kind of like a little welcome mat. It's kind of like a doorbell, really, because when a bug walks by and it hits that webbing, it then shakes that webbing and it sends a vibration down, and the tarantula knows there's something out there. So it's kicking back, relaxing, doing its homeschooling like we all are, and all of a sudden, ding dong, oh, dinner's here, yay for delivery. And it runs out and it grabs whatever bug is walking by. Now, if there's not any bugs walking by, then it's not going to stay down there and starve. It gets hungry, it starts being proactive, it'll go walking around looking for food. And what kind of food? Crickets, grasshoppers, cockroaches, beetles. These things will eat scorpions and centipedes, and sometimes things like mice, lizards, even small snakes. Not humans. But as it's out walking around looking for food, other animals are looking for food. Let's say a fox or a coyote sees this guy. We'll say a fox. We all know what a fox is, right? We don't know what it says, but we know what it is. Yeah. A fox sees this. He's not thinking big and scary like you and I. He's thinking big and juicy. He's thinking big and tasty. He's thinking dinner. And so that fox wants to eat it. But before he eats it, he wants to smell it. So that fox comes up and starts sniffing at it with his nose. And as he starts sniffing at it, and he gets close, that's what happens. See, that tarantula, he feels something get close to it, and as that fox starts sniffing at it, it does something very strange to protect itself. It actually takes its back legs and it kicks some hair off of its backside. Now this guy here, he's not out in the wild. When I first opened this to get it out, it was a little worried, and it did kick a little bit of that hair. I don't know if it'll do that for us today, but one of our other tarantulas might when we first go to get it out. But when it kicks this hair off of its backside, the fox that's sniffing at it breathes in that hair. And that hair has little barbs. It's not the tan hair we see here. It's little tiny black hairs underneath that we can't really see. And what it does is it kicks that hair off with its back legs. That fox that's sniffing at him breathes in that hair, and that hair gets in his nose and itches and burns in his nose. The fox runs off in the wild, rubbing his nose and sneezing, and it leaves the tarantula alone. Now, tarantulas are mostly all going to do that. I have another one of our native tarantulas. Now I've got this guy back in here. I don't know if it'll do a little hair kicking for us, but we'll see. By the way, tarantulas do have some things that are able to actually hurt it and eat it. Sometimes they end up missing a leg before they get the hairs kicked and everything. But here's another one of our native tarantulas. And, quick question.
Darren Williams is asking, how common is it to find one in your home?
Most of us aren't going to find a tarantula in the house. Maybe out in the yard if you live rurally, but tarantulas, not so much. Now, other spiders, oh yeah, that's why we have some called house spiders. By the way, this one I think should be pretty good at showing us how they do their webbing, even though, let's see here. Got a question while we're looking at this?
Michael's asking, are some tarantulas less likely to bite than others?
Yes, that's a very good question. Generally speaking, a female desert tarantula, not going to be very aggressive. We'll look at some in a bit that are quite the opposite. I'm going to see if this one will get some webbing out for us. I don't know if she's going to do that for us today. We'll have to use one of our rainforest tarantulas for that. But what I wanted to show you with this tarantula, let's leave this open here. I'm going to put it down here. And I'm going to go ahead and see. First off, I want you to see if we can get it to move just a little as it's slowly walking along. Kind of see how it moves with all those legs going there. That's actually, let's not walk off the edge there. Let's walk, there we go, walk over there. And what I'm going to do is see if we can show you the important fun part of this tarantula. And what I want to do is, I don't have a driver's license. You got a credit card or something on you I can borrow? No. Nobody ever gives me their credit card. I get it. I know how it works. All right. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a nice white piece of paper here so you can see this. And what we're going to do is show you the fangs. And I'm going to pick this up very gently in the right way between the second and third pair of legs. By the way, let's look real quick. You count legs, you might count 10. These two in the front are more like arms. They're called pedipalps. And most spiders have them. Some are a lot more pronounced than others. But underneath, you can see the fangs. I think everybody can see right in here these fangs. Now we'll see if we can get those out. There we go. Can you see those fangs? They're like little cat claws. And there we go. Move your pedipalps. Look at that. Those are the fangs of the tarantula. And even though it has a venom, that venom's not strong enough to kill a human. Now it's strong enough to kill a cricket or a small lizard, but it's not harmful to humans. But these fangs, you don't want those things stuck into you. You can imagine. Here, let's move the pedipalps. Try for the trickiest shot of the day. There we go. I think everybody can see those fangs. I'm going to put her back in there now and answer a question.
Becky's asking, do they have eyes or do they just sense what's around them?
Ah, very good. Let's get a close-up of the eyes. Now, it's easier to see on this tarantula right in there. That little black spot you're looking at right there, those are 8 eyes all stuck together. Now, one of the things we can do to see those eyes, and different spiders have different numbers of eyes. Usually they have 6 or 8. Some have 2 here, 2 here, 2 there. Some have all grouped together like that. But one thing that's interesting about spiders is that as they grow, they get too big for their skin. So they molt their skin, they shed. Tarantulas do that just like anything else. But tarantulas are big enough that we can see the parts of it a lot better. So I've got a shed skin here. And one of the fun things about it is that you can see what it looks like here as it's open. And one of the neat things is that you can actually see the eyes if it comes apart regularly. So let me look at, that's the shed skin from this tarantula, but here is a different molt skin from a little bit different tarantula we're going to talk about. And because of that, let me see if we can get some light through the eyes. Can you see those little dots right there and count them? A little too much light, does that help? A little more light. We're trying here, guys. Right there. Can we see the eyes? You should be able to count 8. Kind of set up 3 kind of on top and 1 below on each side kind of thing. This is the top of the tarantula. So when this guy was alive, it looked like that. It looks like, oh, I'm holding a big scary tarantula. It's just the outer skin. It's not a dead spider. And this is the top. So that's where the eyes are. So now you can definitely see the eyes of that. Another question, though.
Karen's asking, why do they have so many eyes?
Ah, all the better to see you with, my dear. Actually, it works out well. Tarantulas really are more tactile, meaning that they're going to use their sense of feel a lot more than their eyesight. They can mostly just detect movement with that. Another question.
Evan wants to know how long they could live.
All right. Well, let's get another tarantula out and talk about that then. Because, once again, this goes into, oh, what type of tarantula are we talking about? Or are we talking about male or female? This tarantula I'm going to get out here looks kind of like the one we've been looking at, but you can kind of see a little iridescent color to it. It's called a rose hair tarantula. See how it's kind of rose colored on the top there? And the rose hair tarantula is from South America, and it's typical of most tarantulas. The female rose hair tarantula, like most tarantulas, will live 25 or 30 years. That's pretty impressive for a bug, right? But a male tarantula generally only lives 5 or 6 years. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One of them being that he's out moving around generally and gets eaten by things. But the wonderful thing about the rose hair here that I wanted to show you is the webbing. So, everybody see that? Yeah. I don't know if the lighting comes from the bottom. Is that any better? Let's try it again. Let's see if we can get some of that. All that webbing is how it is they catch their food. But let's go with a question here.
Melanie's asking, how many eggs does a female have at once?
Very good question. Look at that. We got webbing all over from this one. She's leaving a little trail. Generally, spiders of any sort are generally going to lay about 100 to 300 eggs. Some can lay as many as 1,000 eggs. And most spiders, they lay their eggs in an egg sac. Sometimes that's on their web, like in the black widow. Sometimes it's in the hole in the ground, like a tarantula. Sometimes the mom carries that little ball of eggs around behind her. And then when they hatch, they crawl up on the back, like in wolf spiders. But the rose-haired tarantula, nice little tarantula here. But let's talk a little bit more about the hair. We talked about they kick that hair off. Let's grab a very interesting one. By the way, the rose-haired tarantula, in case you care, is actually from South America, from the rainforest. Another question while we get this next one out.
Jan's asking, how often do they shed their skin?
Very good question, and that depends on a lot of factors. Age, size, amount of food, and that sort of thing. But generally, they're molt their skin 2, 3, 4 times a year the first few years, and then once they get bigger, it might only be once a year, sometimes every few years. This tarantula is actually from Costa Rica and Nicaragua. It's called a curly-haired tarantula. And the curly-haired tarantula is one that a lot of people actually like to have in the pet trade, and he's really cool. I'm just going to let you see him go wherever he wants to go here. So, but there we go. Back down. See, that was a cool little trick. I used to be able to do that with a basketball, from this hand around over my shoulders and back down here. Actually, I could never do that. But this tarantula, you can see, seems to have a lot more hair. It's called a curly-haired tarantula because it does have, well, curly hairs, right? Yeah. This tarantula, like most, will get to be about 5-6 inches in diameter. This one's not full grown yet, but I think is really cool because it has these extra hairs. By the way, these extra hairs, they come in handy because you might notice he's a little bit more active. That's because they feel with those hairs. We talked about them kicking off these hairs on the backside, but all these hairs on their body for tarantulas, they feel with that. So just air movement, he knows, hey, there's something out there. And of course, that way, before something actually gets to it, it knows it's coming. It's kind of like spider sense. I remember hearing about that somewhere. But this guy has a very, very active feeling system called tactile system, and it's because of all the extra hair. Now, sometimes it will kick off some of those little hairs. It has a bunch underneath as well. I don't know if this one wants to today. Mostly when I get close, it wants to run. But I mentioned that this guy is one that a lot of people keep as a pet in captivity because they're generally very nice and they're extra furry. In fact, this one here I got from Unique Aquariums in Casa Grande. So if you guys want some spiders, you need one as a pet, good place to go. Most pet stores will carry them as well. I know I've got a few spiders from this pet store in Apache Junction, Predators, a lot of different places. But the tarantula has all that hair. But that guy, he's going to put him back up in there because he's from Costa Rica and he doesn't look that special. But wait, there's more. That's right, we have another spider I want to talk about that's from the same area. But this one has a lot different look to it. This particular spider, whoop, he wanted to run down to there. Good thing he grabbed onto the table on the way. All right, calm down, you're on a hand. This one is called a zebra tarantula, but some people call it a stripe-kneed tarantula. I think it's got a little prettier look to it than even the curly hair. Oh, question though.
Karen's asking, if you take a tarantula from a different part of the world with different climate and air pressure, will it hurt or kill the tarantula?
Oh no, they adapt very well, but you do have to, if you're going to keep one as a pet, you're going to want to do your research and make sure you're putting it in the right, and back down to there, in the right environment. So you'll notice I've showed you desert tarantulas, rainforest tarantulas, and some of them have to have even more humidity. Some like to hide. So you need to make sure that you have the right environment for them. But as far as them coming from there to a different place, no, they're going to end up being really, really good. This guy you can see is a little bit more on the active jumpy side. But I tell you what, let's go to one of my favorite and somewhat prettier tarantulas. It's a lot different than what we've been seeing so far. This guy in here, speaking of them, this is one that spends most of its time in a hole in the ground. So it doesn't really need a whole lot of room. And it's good at showing you how it uses its webbing to make that hole and to live its life. Now, some of you are looking at this going, oh, there's no spider in here. Well, it's funny because if you look closely, you'll see there's light webbing all over, and it's like a little tunnel that comes down here. When I put the lid on, that tunnel top is on there. And then if you keep this around, you'll see, there's a little backside of a spider down there. That hole actually goes farther down under here. But anytime that I throw a cricket in here, it feels this webbing shaking and it knows that, hey, there's some food. So this tarantula is actually called an old world tarantula because he's from the eastern hemisphere, the old world, if you will. And I'm going to try and get it to back itself out of here. Oh, he attacked my tongs. This guy's got a huge attitude. I don't know if you can see the colors on this guy, but he's called a cobalt blue tarantula. And he definitely has a little attitude down here. Now, I don't want to get him too upset because I'm afraid he may take off because he's very fast. And if I try to grab him, well, he's going to grab me back. And that's not very fun. But this tarantula is a female, so it's this cobalt blue. A male cobalt blue isn't cobalt blue at all. Kind of like a black widow male not being a widow. But this male is actually a copper color. Kind of pretty, but in a different way. Now, this one's pretty good at showing you the fangs and showing you the defensive measures of a tarantula. If you were to come across one in the wild, pretty much of a lot of different types, it's going to usually do that. Look at that. The front legs are up. The fangs are bared. And as you can imagine, if I was to try and grab this thing now, boom, those fangs are going to grab me. In fact, even these metal tongs that you didn't think anything could grab onto, if I touched it with those right now, it would grab onto them and generally runs up the tongs at my hand. I know y'all want to see that, but not today. Sorry. Unless we get 200 yeses and then maybe... No, we can't do that. But you'll see that defensive position. Any animal or person coming across something doing that, you're going to get the idea. You don't want to mess with it. Oh, and this is a young cobalt blue. This tarantula will get over 6 inches in diameter. That's a big, ugly, beautiful, but mean spider. Get a show there? Now, while we have it in this position, I want to mention something. We talked about males and females a little bit. Male tarantulas, if you got an up-close look like this, and it's a mature male, on his first pair of legs on the second joint, so right in here, it would have a little hook. And the male tarantulas of pretty much any species has that. And that's for holding the fangs out of the way when they're trying to mate with a female, because she's going to try and eat him. But this is a female, so it doesn't have those. And I know you're wondering, well, show us on a male. I just realized yesterday, I don't even have a male tarantula. Of all my species and such, I don't have a male, mostly because the females live longer, and that's more important to me to be able to use them for showing people and getting to work with them. So, the cobalt blue, definitely one of those aggressive little spiders, but there's some spiders that they don't have to be aggressive. They just look aggressive. They look mean, right? Well, we do, of course, have to talk about the biggest of the spiders, and that, of course, is hard to see, I'm sure, in there. It blends in very well, just as it does on the forest floor in the rainforests of Brazil, where it lives in South America. But this is the infamous bird-eating spider. That's right. And it's big and scary. Oh, there we go. Did we get that? Oh, it did a little of the hair kick. I don't know if it'll do it again. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Kicking some hair. Great action right there. Figures it end up being this one. I don't know. Can you see the tarantula well? You gonna kick one more time for us, or are we good now? We're good now? Good. That's what we like to hear and see. So, let's get this spider out. There we go. This is a salmon bird-eating spider. Now, bird-eating spider sounds amazing, right? And I know y'all are thinking the same thing I was the first time I ever heard of one. What kind of birds does it eat? Right? That's what I wanted to know. See, the first time I ever heard of a bird-eating spider, it was before the internet. Yes, I'm that old. I was reading a book. Still a good thing to do, by the way. Books are great. I was at my local library, and I was reading a book on spiders, and I got to the part of the book where they mentioned the largest spiders on planet Earth, the bird-eating spiders of South America. And I went, what? What kind of birds do they eat? So I kept reading, and I found out they don't really eat birds. I know, right? I was very disappointed as well. Why would you call it a bird-eating spider if it doesn't eat birds? That sounds important to me. Well, I kept reading, and I had to turn the page, and I found out the reason it got called a bird-eating spider is because the first scientist to find one of these spiders found one eating a hummingbird on the ground. And he went, whoa, there's spiders that eat birds, and the word got out. And all the other scientists were amazed, and everybody wanted to see more, and so more scientists came, and the more that showed up to research, the more they found out that one of these eating a bird is what we call an anomaly. That's a big scientific word that means it's very, 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 very unlikely it's going to happen. You see, if this guy happened to come across a bird that just happened to die and it happened to be hungry and that happened to be a fresh bird, he might just happen to eat it. But it's not really going to happen. You see, it's not out there climbing trees at all. It's too big. It likes to live on the ground and in the ground because it's a tarantula. So it walks around eating bugs. Well, bug-eating spider doesn't sound super cool. So bird-eater stuck. But the bird-eating spider will eat things like crickets and grasshoppers, cockroaches, beetles, scorpions, centipedes, even mice, lizards, small snakes, and of course, if it comes across one, a bird. But realistically, not going to happen very often. But it's big enough you can definitely see the parts. This is what we saw the eyes through that exoskeleton on, was the shed from this particular bird-eating spider. By the way, this one's not full grown. It's only about 3 years old. The salmon bird-eating spider will get to be upwards to 10 or 11 inches in diameter. That's a big spider. And of course, very impressive. And lucky for us, very nice. Now, there are other bird-eating spiders. The largest one specifically is the Goliath bird-eating spider. Very aptly named, Goliath. Gets even bigger, up to 12 inches in diameter. And they're super aggressive with fangs that can get upwards to almost an inch long. These things are crazy, and that's why I'm not holding one of those, all right? But I know you're thinking, oh, you say it's not dangerous, but all you're doing is holding it there. So I think it's time for a challenge. But first, a question.
Season's asking, what can you tell us about these creepy sun spiders that we see around here?
I can tell you they're not spiders at all. They're actually a type of arachnid that's in the family of Sulfidae, and we're going to talk about those in a different episode. I love it. This is the second time Season's got a hold of me. Ahead of me, I should say. And she's always wanting to know what we're going to cover next. So we like that. But they're actually, what you're talking about is sun spiders. They're an arachnid, but they don't have webbing. Their mouth isn't fangs. They're totally different, but very similar. And they do eat a lot of bugs, and that's the important thing. So challenge time while we take a couple of questions.
Ben is asking if it is.
Oh, wait. Let me do this real quick so everybody can while I answer. Good idea. So here's a challenge for you. If I get 25, that means we're going to have to count. I know, math, it's terrible. But if I can get 25 people to say that they want to see this, I will let the tarantula crawl up on my face and see where it goes and what happens. Because that's just fun to watch. I mean, from your view, I don't know. Actually, you know what? I hope nobody says anything. So let's worry about questions instead.
Ben is asking, is it poisonous?
It does have a venom. Now, once again, not to get too deep into it, but we talked the other day, poison versus venom. Poison means that if I eat it, I'm going to die. Luckily, I can lick it. It's not going to have a problem. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't have poison on the outside. But it does have venom, which is a poison that's put inside of you. And their venom is not going to kill a human. Not from one of these. Now, there are different levels of toxicity. Some are more painful than others, as far as spiders in general, and especially tarantulas. But the salmon bird-eating spider is one that's kind of middle. I've never had to experience it yet. No, luckily I haven't. But they do have a venom. It's not something that's going to kill, even if it was to bite me right now. I would try and hold in, adult words, as it would be very painful, but that's about it. All right. And we don't have 25 people wanting to see it on my face, right? Yay! Okay, good. I was kind of hoping that you guys would stay away from that. Thank you.
There's
They
11.
must really love me. So, how many are we have? What? 6, 12, 12. Uh-oh, we're halfway there. Woo, living on a prayer. Oh, sorry, 80s reference. All right. Well, the salmon bird-eating spider is actually very nice. By the way, one of the things about the bigger tarantulas like this is that the bigger they are, the less protection they have as far as, like if he was to jump off my hand onto the ground, that's why he doesn't climb trees. If he falls off a tree branch and hits the ground, he's not going to live through it. You see, spiders have what's called an exoskeleton, a hardened outer skin. And, whoa, I got a little, talking about the outer skin, upset it. Wow, did you see that hair kicking? This is why I hold it facing me. I'd rather it jump on my face than kick hair in my eyes, right? But you know what? They have this exoskeleton, which is kind of an outer skin. It's like a shell, and of course holds everything together. So if I was to drop this on the ground in here, it might get hurt a little out in the wild, of course, even more. So
All right.
another question.
We got more than 25.
I thought y'all were my friends. I see how it is. We'll be able to look later and see who, right? Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and do that. And, of course, at the end of the day, I'll go back and check and see where everybody logged in from and said hi from so we can find out who the winner is that logged in from watching this show the farthest away from me. All right. I got to be honest. I really don't normally do this, and I haven't done it in quite a while. But we'll see if I can get the tarantula to crawl across my face. Let's go right to left for everybody here. And it doesn't want to. Oh, I like this. This is because we're friends. It's like, hey, I don't need to go up onto your face. All right, let's see what we got going here. And look, it's like it's trained not to crawl onto my face. Yep, that's what I was kind of, let's be honest, hoping for. I know you're thinking, grab the zebra one, because it will. Yeah, it probably would. But there we go. Okay, wait, no, okay, I thought we were friends, and then, okay, wait, yeah, I feel like we could share a meal right here, wait. Okay, now they got the webbing literally coming into my face. Yeah, okay, here at the Wildman Phil Center, we're not really too good with the social distancing thing, and it feels like it's not on my face anymore, so I'm very happy about that. Did it make its way all the way to top of my hat? That's a much better place. Wow. Now, I do have to explain to you what it feels like. They have 2 little tiny claws on the end of each of their feet. They're kind of like cat claws. They can stick them out or retract them. And that's why they can walk and grab onto things like the smooth, soft, supple skin of Wildman Phil's face. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of friggin' hair and other stuff there. Well, let's be ready. But actually, it's out there with these grabbing onto stuff. And so when it walked across me, every one of these is sticking in and grabbing on. And now it kind of itches a little right across in here. But it looks to be happy up there. Are we good with that? All right, good. So, so now we have to get it off of there, I think. Or what a better way to end than this? I can't imagine, right? So, with all that being said, spiders are wonderful. Spiders are great. I know we don't like hitting the web. I know we may not want to wake up with one on our face. I know I don't now. But they're out there helping us. They're eating bugs. Some of them eating bigger things like mice, lizards, snakes, and so on. But of course, all of them are out there helping us. And that's what I want you all to remember. So, next time you're out and about, you come across a spider of some sort, you don't have to kill it, especially out in the wild. Understand it's out there helping us. It's eating the bugs, and that's great for us. Now, of course, you get one in the house, you might want to move it outside. You might want to let it live in there and eat all the bugs you don't want to have. Pretty good idea, right? But with that being said, once again, thank you guys for tuning in once again. I'm going to take the weekend off and see about scouting some other things to do. But next week, we're going to do this all again. So be sure and tune in at 11 a.m. Pacific time on Monday morning. I know you're wondering, what are we going to do then? Well, I tell you what, I'll give you a little tiny preview of what we've got going then. We're going to talk about a lizard that's very special to me. That's right. The chuckwalla, the inflatable lizard. This is going to be the subject of Monday's Better Than a Classroom edutainment session. And we'll talk about this amazing creature found in the dry, hot deserts here in the southwestern United States. Also, remember, if you enjoyed this and you want to throw a couple of bucks, that's great. Not expected, but appreciated definitely. We'll put the information on how to use the virtual tip jar in the comments. In case you don't see it, it is to Zealous Money if you'd like. Payment at wildmanphil.com. Venmo is at wildmanphil. That's all one word, but with a capital W and a capital P. And PayPal at presentations@desertwildlife.net. With that being said, thank you for all the support we've been getting. Thank you all our sponsors and others, and we hope that everybody enjoys watching this. We hope that we'll see you again Monday, right back here on the Facebook channel. Oh, one more thing. Subscribe to Wildman Phil on YouTube. We only need 220 more subscriptions, and we can go live on YouTube and take advantage of a lot of other options. So jump over to YouTube now, check out Wildman Phil, see some of our other episodes that weren't part of this, and subscribe. It doesn't hurt, it only helps. Appreciate that. Thanks again to Coyote Peterson and all of you Coyote Pack members that may have joined in. Love working with those guys. We'll have a lot of fun. We'll see you Monday morning right here.